Welcome to the Explainer. So today, we're going to dive into a classic Buddhist story that pretty much flips our whole idea of generosity completely on its head.
Okay, let's just start with a question to get us all thinking. What does the most generous gift you can possibly imagine really look like? Is it a mountain of money, giving up all your time? Or is it maybe something else?
To dig into that, we're going to take a trip back in time to meet a guy named Mirama. And let me tell you, this man was a philanthropist on a scale that is it's almost unbelievable. So the text paints this absolutely staggering picture of his giving. I mean, just try to imagine this. 80,000 gold platters piled high with gold dust. Then 80,000 silver platters filled with silver. And then, just for good measure, he gives away 80,000 of each filled with the other metal. The sheer scale of this wealth is just, wow. And it didn't stop there. Not even close. He also gave away 80,000 cattle, 80,000 adorned maidens, 80,000 luxurious beds, and 80,000 decorated chariots. You have to understand, this wasn't just a little charity work. This was generosity on a scale that could fund a nation. So right when we're trying to get our heads around just how massive Mirama's giving was, the Buddha shows up in the story and completely flips the script. He makes this claim that is just mind-blowing. He says that all of Miramama's incredible donations, all the gold, all the silver, the cattle, everything, all of it together is worth less in spiritual merit than giving just one simple meal to a single person who holds a right view, someone with a clear understanding of reality. And this one idea, it kicks off this fascinating kind of, it's like a ladder of merit, where each act of giving is outdone by the next, and usually in a way you'd never see coming. Okay, so the logic here, it starts out simple enough, right? Giving to one person with right view is good, but giving to 100 people with right view is even better. Okay, makes sense. Quantity matters, for now. But then we get the first real twist. The value of feeding those 100 people is actually less than giving one meal to a single Śrāvastī, or a stream enterer. That's someone who's taken that first big step towards enlightenment. Suddenly, it's not about how many people you feed. It's about the spiritual quality of the person you're helping. And this is where the logic really snaps into focus. The spiritual development of the recipient is what multiplies the value of the gift. The merit just keeps climbing, from a stream enterer to a non-returner to an arhat who's actually reached nirvana, to a self-enlightened being, and finally all the way up to the fully enlightened Buddha himself. Okay, so just when you think you've got the pattern down, give to the most enlightened being, get the most merit, the whole game changes. The logic pivots away from who you give to and towards what you're actually doing and cultivating inside yourself. Which, of course, raises a huge question, right? If giving a meal to the Buddha himself isn't the top of the ladder, what in the world could possibly be more valuable than that? Well, the ladder keeps going. You see, the text tells us that giving food to the entire community of monks and nuns, the Sangha, is a wonderful act. But even greater than that is building a monastery for them. A lasting gift of shelter is valued more than a temporary gift of food. And this is where things get really interesting. The huge act of building a monastery is actually surpassed by an internal commitment, taking sincere refuge for life. And even that is surpassed by upholding the 5 precepts. We've gone from huge external actions to deeply personal internal vows. This is a really profound shift. Just committing to this basic ethical code is seen as a greater act of generosity than literally building a monastery. And why? Well, because when you follow these precepts, you are giving the gift of safety and fearlessness to every single person you meet. So this brings us to the very, very top, the absolute pinnacle of generosity, the one thing that outshines everything else we've talked about, all the gold, the food, the buildings, even the sacred vows. And you know what it is? It's not something you can hold. It's not an action you perform. It's a state of mind. It's the practice of what's called metta, or great loving kindness for every single living being, with no exceptions, no judgments. Let that sink in for a second. The greatest act of generosity isn't something you give from your hand, but something you cultivate in your heart. It's an internal state of boundless, unconditional love that you offer to everyone, everywhere, all the time.
And just when you think the story has delivered its final lesson, boom, there is one last incredible twist. The Buddha reveals that the great philanthropist Mirama was actually him in a past life.
This changes everything. Suddenly, it's not some abstract teaching anymore. It's the Buddha telling his own story, the story of his own journey across lifetimes, from someone who thought generosity meant giving away mountains of stuff to someone who finally realized that true generosity is something you cultivate within your own mind. So the takeaway here is really something to think about. It challenges us to completely reevaluate what it means to be generous. And it suggests that the most powerful, the most valuable gift in the entire universe is one that doesn't cost a thing. And it's one you can give right now.